All of us want to live a long, healthy life free of pain and debility, but now we associate pain and debility and dependence on others as part of the inevitable process of aging. And I think that is a deeply flawed way of looking at it. It's causing us to fear aging, to be afraid to get old, and you shouldn't have to be. Let's talk about that. Hey everybody, this is Dylan. Life expectancy has gone up pretty dramatically since the year 1900, but adults aren't really living any longer than they were back in 1900. How does that work? We all assume that it's because of medical innovation and advancement of technology or whatever that is causing people to live longer lives, but that really isn't the case at all. In fact, we're not living very much longer lives than we did before. And what it really comes down to is infant mortality. You see, life expectancy is an average of our entire population, and if babies stop dying, then our life expectancy for everybody goes up. So it's not really an accurate depiction of true life expectancy as we think of it. This flawed way of looking at it is causing us to rely on medicine and intervention to extend our lives. We think that if we continue to advance, we will be able to extend human life longer and longer and longer. But I don't think this is a good way of looking at it. What's really happening is this: we all have a maximum genetic potential. If we did everything totally perfectly, some of us are going to live into our 80s, some of us are going to exceed 100. Yay, that's great. But instead of trying to come up with these things that we can add to our lives that will extend our lifespan, we should be thinking of what we can remove from our lives that would cause us to not reach our maximum potential lifespan that we all have. If I do everything perfectly and I'm going to live till I'm 90, then I want to get as close to doing everything perfectly as I possibly can to get as close as I can to 90, rather than doing everything half-assed and then hoping that some kind of magic pill will come around that will allow me to live till I'm 100 rather than 90. That's really not going to happen. We have no evidence of this happening so far, so why should we think that it's going to happen in the future? There's a better way, and it's achievable by all of us. Rather than focusing on life expectancy in general, I think we should focus more on healthy life expectancy. The average American is living over 9 years of their lives debilitated at the end, and 15 to 18 years of their lives totally unhealthy. Our focus should be on narrowing the length of time that we're unhealthy and debilitated so that we can enjoy the aging process. That is what healthcare actually should be. It should be how to help people live the least number of years debilitated or unhealthy so that they enjoy their entire lives, not just how to live the longest number of years physically possible. Because we've seen time and time again with our own family members, our own loved ones, going through the last long period of their lives unwell. And it's painful, and it makes us fear aging because we think that's going to happen to us just as it's happened to them. These are the areas where very simple diet and lifestyle changes can make all the difference. If you live healthfully, you will achieve health. You're not going to stroke out and get a heart attack or have high blood pressure or diabetes or any of that stuff. It just doesn't happen. But you have to change what you're doing in order to achieve that. It doesn't just happen on its own. Not in the environment that we now live in. It used to happen on its own, and we'll talk about that more in some other videos, but it doesn't happen on its own anymore because the environment that we live in has been deeply modified scientifically, technologically, from the way that it used to be. We now have an abundance of very, very high calorie foods, rich foods that we are evolved to love the taste and flavors of that we didn't have access to before when our physical body and psychology actually evolved a couple 100,000 years ago. Like I said, we'll discuss that a little more in an upcoming vegan health video as part of this series. Despite our amazing advancements in medicine and medical intervention and everything else, the US still trails behind most of the developed world in both overall life expectancy and healthy life expectancy, the part of our lives where we're not debilitated at the end. So what's the problem? When I was born in the mid-1980s, there wasn't a single state in the US with more than a 15% population of people experiencing obesity, and now there are many states in the US where that number is nearing 40%. In fact, when you only consider the adults in the US, we're at 40% obesity, and we're nearing 80% if you consider both obesity and overweight in the numbers. So what is happening? Did we all just lose our ability to exercise willpower when we make eating decisions? Did we all just, stop eating in moderation the way that we tell one another to do? Or is there something bigger at play? Could it be that we've scientifically created food that just totally piques our pleasure centers, that release dopamine because of the rich flavors? Could it be that we now rely on this service industry where we are going to all of these restaurants with the extremely rich food, and that the measure of an excellent chef is whether or not they can create the richest flavors without becoming too intolerably rich? This is a problem. We're telling people that it's okay to seek this great pleasure, these rich foods, that it's a high status thing to be able to go and get hold of these things and experiences, and then we're saying it's completely normal when you get sick from them, or when you get overweight or obese from them. And I think that there's a real disconnect here. Can't you see it? I mean, look at these charts, look at the numbers. Here are the obesity numbers back in 1990. You can see there was only one state in Mississippi where there was 15% of the population obese. And look at this trend line. It's gone way up. Now we have all of these states that are nearing 40%. It's not magic. It's only been 30 years. Like, that's not very much time, and you can see that there is no reason to think that this is going to change at all in the future. Something else has to change, and it's not going to be a magic obesity pill or magic blood pressure and cholesterol drugs. Those aren't going to bring the numbers down. They're not going to make people skinny. It's the food. And now we go on pretending like if you're obese, then you must have some kind of flawed psychology. If you can't keep it together like I can, then something's broken with you. People that are overweight and obese, you're made to think that something is wrong with you, that you need to go take drugs, that you have bad genes, that you're weak or broken, and it is not true. You are not broken. You do not have a flawed psychology. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do under these conditions. The problem is these conditions aren't real. These conditions are fake. They're not what they used to be. If you were in your own natural environment, you wouldn't be overweight, obese, unhealthy, reliant on prescription medications, and you can get back there. The truth needs to be told. You are not broken. In fact, the most efficient bodies are the ones that can take an excess of calories and strategically turn them into fat stores. Our bodies are literally evolved to do that. If you put me out in the elements and a person that can put on fat more easily than I can out in the elements, the person with the fat's going to live the longest when spring comes late. We are evolved to seek as many calories as we can so that we turn the excess calories into fat, and then we turn that fat into fuel in times when our actual normal fuel isn't available. We burn glycogen, and we get glycogen from carbohydrates and from whole food. But when we don't have access to that whole food, we have to turn fat into glycogen so that our body can burn it. We were literally meant to do this. And so when you get fat in today's unnatural environment, your body's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Your taste buds and your mouth are telling you exactly what they're supposed to tell you, that you want the richest food possible so that you can put on as much fat as possible so that when spring comes late, you'll survive. But spring doesn't come late anymore. We have access to calories year round, so you're never going through the cycles that we were always meant to live through. And this is the problem. It's our unnatural environment that is causing us to be unhealthy. And this unnatural environment has resulted in unnaturally rich foods that we never have had access to when our bodies were actually evolving into what they are now. We never anticipated being able to drink a can of soda with, 13 or something teaspoons of sugar in there? That is super rich. We never had access to that. It's not healthy. We never had access to food that had 4,000 calories per pound like oil does. That makes food so unbelievably rich and delicious that we're completely recalibrated to seek these foods. So now we're constantly filling our gas tank with garbage. And if you fill your car's gas tank with garbage, that car is going to operate exactly the way that you think that it would. It will fall apart and die. And when you fill your body with garbage over and over and over, your body's going to do exactly what it was designed to do, which is to fall over and die. But you may be thinking, well, my friend at work, this person eats just constant garbage all day long, around the clock, and they're doing just fine. Well, here's the thing. Genes do play a role. Genes play a role in how soon you reach that point of debility in your life. If you take 100 people and you put them on a standard American diet of all of these rich, unnatural foods, Some of them are going to have their first heart attack in their 40s, and some of them are going to have their first heart attack in their 80s, and some might die without actually having a heart attack. It's unbelievable, but it's genes. But here's the thing, if you take those same 100 people and you feed them a healthy, natural diet of whole foods like we ate in our natural history, 100 of those people will do perfectly well. They'll never have a heart attack, they'll never stroke out, they'll never need meds for their cholesterol, diabetes, blood pressure, or any of those things. The chronic illness will just never come. So how do you explain genes there? Because it doesn't require these magical genes for you to be healthy. It's not genes that allows this person to be healthy, it's genes that are stopping that person from dying as quickly as all of us will. That's it. But if you give us all of the right fuel, our genes have no real role in this process at all. We can all survive and thrive if we're given the right food, if we prepare for ourselves the right food. We all have a maximum built-in lifespan that we're not going to exceed. Some of us are fortunate enough that that's going to be over 100 years old, and some of us, no matter how perfect we are, will never break 90. It just won't happen. But if we eat right and we're relatively active and we get lots of fresh air and sunshine and we live a healthful life, we will get as close as we possibly can to our maximum lifespan. And that is health. That is what we should seek. That is the solution to this problem. The good news is that you don't have to solve this problem for the whole world. You don't have to reverse the obesity maps that I showed you. You don't have to fight for everyone's health. All you have to do is fix it for yourself. And all you can be expected to do is take control of your own life, understand the unnatural world that we're living in now, and take the steps necessary to achieve true, lasting health. And maybe you'll pick up a few people along the way, some loved ones, some family members or friends maybe, but don't get your hopes up. This is deeply entrenched in our society. Our entire economy, our entire world is now operating on these principles that are completely unnatural and do not result in health. People will always want good news about their bad habits, and that's what we will talk about next week as we continue this Real Vegan Health video series. From now on, I'll be doing a free live YouTube show every Thursday right here at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, but I anticipate that most of the content will come from these health videos that I've previously posted or my cooking videos, etc. Submit your questions in the Well Your World Facebook group. And please check out this playlist with more of my health series videos, and I'll see you on the next video. I love you. Bye.